customer interview. I got Nick Jacqmain, CEO of Springfield Inc. up in Kingsley by Traverse City in Michigan. So my Michigan friend up here. What's up, Nick? Thank you for jumping on.
Hey, Ryan. Thanks for having me.
Cool. So these customer interviews are here to just give you some evidence that what we do is yielding results for our customers. So Nick, when we met, you were basically like scraping the barrel at the time. And I know it sounds a little embarrassing, and you felt it on the call, and you're a sharp guy, you got a great company, quality's great, but you were just like scraping the barrel a little bit. You were, order materials with, you're just like borrowing Peter to give to Paul, and you just weren't in a good spot. And you were like, dude, I need help closing the deal. And we helped you with that. And so I just want to talk a little bit about that. Since then, you've been 30% up, and you're just scratching the surface in the first year, even in a coronavirus environment as a commercial roofer. Some people have really struggled, a lot of projects being put on hold. You guys are still managed to be up this year, and you have a nice full backlog going into this off season. So really glad that you shared with me this email last week and said that you guys are up. That was really encouraging. So I just want to ask you some questions about your experience and some of the numbers around all that, and so that anybody watching this can just have some hear right from your experience yourself. So appreciate you joining. So why don't you talk a little bit about like what your situation was like quickly prior to joining us, and just kind of how you approach sales and getting new business in general.
Yeah, so we've always had a really heavy emphasis on service. We don't do a lot of cold calling or new construction. A lot of it's relationship based stuff. And so, we had a really good history. Things seemed to be going well. And then for some reason in early 2019, we just stopped closing re-roof projects. Just really couldn't create that sense of urgency with people, and just felt like we weren't in control of anything. And we were scrambling quite a bit. And I got introduced to you through another contractor down in Ohio, and it just sounded like exactly what we needed. And so, I'll work the program and have some great results.
Yeah, no, it's been good. I remember the introduction. Duralast company, another Duralast contractor. So plug for my boy Jason Dark and Duralast. Love you guys. And that was great to meet you in Phoenix, and you guys had just got your kickoff off the ground. So you bought in August, September of 2019 that you didn't really get the kickoff going, and you were like, dude, I know I need to do this. And I'm like, yeah, you need to do this. Like, you bought this thing, I mean, come on. And so you did your kickoff. Why don't you talk a little bit about how you saw the effects this year? So like, you got the kickoff, you went through the program, you actually went through 1.0, you came on a few coaching calls, which you've missed some, but you've still been connected. Talk a little bit about the kickoff process, your team, and some of the immediate changes that you guys saw with some of these re-roofing deals that you guys were struggling to close.
Yeah, so first of all, going through the kickoff, I mean, it's some heavy lifting depending on what your train of thought was and what your process was beforehand. It's like a lot of things, change is hard, but it does a couple things. It arms you with the tools you need for how to do it, and it also really tells you who's in and who's out on your team. Like guys that realize that, if we keep doing the same thing over and over again and expect a different result, well, it's not very realistic. So that was worth everything right there. I mean, it not only gave us the tools we needed, but it really galvanized everybody, and we knew who was in and who was out.
Nice. So some of the things that from there you had to kick off, which is a big part of what we do, is like team building and culture, and here's where we're going. It's not like a one-time event. Like the kickoff gets new momentum, but going forward, you watched one major part of our program is all about getting to compelling reasons versus, we don't teach you how to close by hard pressure close. We teach you how to ask really good questions and use the information from what the prospect shared as leverage to create and use that their urgency to get the deal done, which is very relational and authentic and fits your style, I think, your personality, and you want to do things at a high level of integrity. Talk about how some of the results and you turn those around. I mean, you would listen to that video, go on your way to a deal just to remind you, right? Because you guys had to change your thinking and change it from we're here, we're happy to service you, and oh, by the way, here's your re-roof quote, to like, we're gonna get deals done. So let's just talk a little bit about some of the content you'd consume on a regular basis, and how that started to help you with your new deals that you guys had since the training.
So historically, we've never done a lot of new construction. We're known in our area as not being the lowest bid, but having the highest quality. And I think a lot of times we get to the point where we would need to build up those compelling reasons and really separate ourselves. And we didn't quite have the words for it. We knew what we were trying to say, but we didn't know how to say it. And we were really at the mercy of whether or not the client could see it and feel it, or if we were effectively communicating it. And so really what it did was give us the words, and just by asking those questions in a non-aggressive way, we had a couple of our clients are actually in sales themselves, like, I see what you're trying to say, and I'm going to take that and use it for myself, because I struggle to say that to my client too. And they would say that to us, and we would smile and laugh, and we're like, okay, this guy's a good fit for us. We're a good fit for him. Like we totally stopped wasting our time.
That's good.
So
that's good. So since then, you guys, continued service, which is, I'm a big proponent of leading with service, and I talk all about that in the program. But you guys already were doing that. But what we weren't doing was getting the big jobs in the books. So since then, you guys have, you had closed multiple re-roof deals that in the past you were struggling to close. Give me a highlight. Give me a deal kind of like that you're like, crap, this stuff works and we're bought in.
So the first job of size we got was a re-roof in the public sector, which we used to run from government bid work, because generally they stopped in our area. I mean, a lot of people stopped doing an interview with the contractor. It was just email your bid or mail your bid in a packet, and we'll if we want you kind of thing. And Josh, our sales guy, demanded, in a polite way, of course, demanded a meeting with the contact and at least one board member. Took it in, presented it, and closed it. And his eyes were like the size of baseballs when he came back. He's like, that worked. That totally worked, because those were ones that we used to just lose, or they would be a quote and hope scenario.
Quote and hope. Yeah, you even got the language internally, right? You got it. It's like the old way. We don't just quote and hope anymore. That's the old way. And that way was, you don't need to practice anymore, right? You don't need to practice another estimate. You're going to bid it. You're going to either win it, or if you don't, you're going to know why, and you're going to get better. So that's really cool. So so the experience has been good. Quickly, let's talk about like ROI. Someone's going to spend 10 to 50K, depending on how deep we go. Minimally, it's going to be 10 within that first year with us. So like, how quickly would you say it paid for itself, or what kind of ROI would you be able to, return on investment would you be able to put on investing into the program?
For us, just the way the timing went with when we actually completed kickoff, and with it being a February, March kind of thing for us, we were fortunate enough that we actually got ROI in 90 days. We closed 3 really good sized jobs, and it paid for itself that fast. Now, depending on how big your team is and how many folks you've got to get through it, and of course what their experience level was prior to that, you could go even faster. We're a small shop and we're all wearing multiple hats, and it's not funny, but it is funny. Like, we could have gone faster.
Got it. Cool. Appreciate you sharing that. And so let's just kind of talk to now, like, your outlook. Okay. So the way you see yourself now, kind of getting this in you for a year, you had to close some deals to survive. You had to move away from surviving. Now we're stepping into thriving mode, and now we have some options and we have a vision for the future. Like, talk about the outlook for Springfield, for you. You mentioned before the call, like, I'm just scratching the surface. Like, tell me a little bit more about what the future looks like, and kind of how much more work you think, is ahead, and exciting work is ahead to grow the business.
So yeah, we really, when we jumped on board, our two focuses were we need to improve creating the compelling reasons towards the beginning of the process, and then work on closing. And we just needed those things to survive. And we've, you're never done working on them, of course, but we've got them to a point where we've got a foundation built, and now it's time to really grow the process up. Still need some improvement on our sales meetings, pipeline management, and we're really just scratching the surface on prospecting. So there's so much more to be done, and it's crazy to think that we just really worked on two main things, and we're looking, depending on how Mother Nature treats us up here, anywhere from 20 to 30% growth over years, just nuts.
Yeah, that's great. So tell me, how's life now? Like, more cash in the bank, a little bit more breathing room. Just kind of describe how you're feeling right now and kind of how the culture, the attitude of the team is since then.
The culture has improved tremendously just because we're all able to think rationally and not in scramble mode. When you're not rushing, accuracy's improved in your estimating and material handling arm of the business. When you're booked that far out, you just attract all the good clients, because everybody in town's like, there's a reason these guys are booked out until November, is because they're the best. So, Ryan, everything you talk about as far as attracting those type of people is 100% true. Awesome.
That's great. Well, Nick, one of the final question for you, and I really appreciate your results, and you put the work in. I'd like to say I'm for everybody, I can help everybody, but at the end of the day, there's a part that you got to play, right? And you had to do the work, you had to change, you had to be committed. And I just was set up that way to help a certain type of person. And you're one of those people, and I'm excited for your team. But what would you say, if someone's looking at our program, what kind of person they need to be? Like, how much work is it really? Like, kind of just give them the detail, like in a nutshell, what's the truth, right? If you're going to hit them with the truth, what would you say to somebody who's considering looking at our program, and, what do they need to be like? What kind of work they need to put in? Just kind of lay that out for us.
Your success has to be more important to you than your fear of discomfort. That it's got to be heavier, or else you won't get anything out of this. We actually, we've had a little bit of turnover since we started this, and it wasn't like, well, you don't want to work Ryan's program, you're out of here. It was just, you could tell, their comfort level was more important to them than success. And so, it just didn't work out. And this is not a magic bullet. You actually have to work this thing. You don't just pay Ryan and you get the results. You gotta actually roll your sleeves up and do it. So.
I love that. Yeah. I mean, what we find very commonly is not all team members make it. And it's not because the content was bad or anything. It's a reflection of the growth mindedness of that team member. They don't want to change, and we're firm believers of always staying a little uncomfortable, maybe massively uncomfortable, and to really get the most out of this. And really, it's like anything in life. It's not just a sales program, but we definitely immerse you in that mentality to prepare you to get the most out of it. And I think hopefully it's leaked over into other areas of y'all's life. And as we hope that happens with all of our clients, that they start to be more intentional, purposeful, say no to the wrong things, say yes to the right things, work out a little bit more, sleep a little bit more, drink a little less alcohol, just get whatever it is. There's always hopefully growth aside from sales that happens on the back end that we aspire to have occur with our clients. And so you've been a great customer, really great to see your success. I know we're just scratching the surface. The future's bright. The best is yet to come. But thanks for being on this interview and sharing there's ROI and that you got to do the work and got to get uncomfortable. But on the other side of that discomfort, is the growth, and can't really slice it any differently than that. This isn't some there's no gimmicks with me, and I'm unapologetically pretty upfront about that. but yet it's very magical on the other side of the discomfort, which is something you're seeing. So congrats to you and your team.
Thank you. Ryan, I would just say one more thing too. I think a lot of times when people look at their volume, their sales volume, they're concerned that once they get to a certain level, adding anything to that might be the wrong kind of business for you, like low margin work or whatever. And that's another thing. Not only is our volume up, but your margins are going to go up too, because you'll just get those better customers. So I would hammer that home as much as I possibly could.
Yeah, more volume, higher close rate, shorter sales cycles, higher margins, better customers, more confidence, more more purpose. It's good. It's a good thing, and you've done the work. So, but there's more ahead, and let's keep growing. Thanks again, Nick. Appreciate you having a few minutes to give us and those watching us on this interview. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Ryan.